Hello, everybody. I am Shantera Chapman. I am the president of emPowHer Consulting and the founder and executive director of the Chapman Women's Foundation. I'm going to be talking to you today about empowering you, tips for finding your voice. I get a lot of questions, as you can imagine, about women's empowerment and what I feel like is one of the most important aspects of women's empowerment. And to me, it's your voice. Because when you think about it, your voice is what leaves in the midst of any kind of chaos. When you're mad at your spouse, mad at your man, mad at your boss, mad at your kids, any of those things, you just kind of go, okay, look, I'm gonna go over here and sit down and, just be quiet. What has happened? You've taken away your voice. And then, on another side of it, ladies who have been in domestic violence situations, they don't tell anybody. They just kind of get quieted into themselves. What's happened? He or she has taken away your voice. And so I feel like your voice is one of the most important aspects of women's empowerment. And in actuality, it's kind of your calling card. So I'm going to start with the question. What does your voice sound like? And in your opinion, what words would you use to describe your voice? Or what words have other people told you they would use to describe your voice? More importantly, do you like your voice? Think about that for a minute. Now, another question I have for you is, do you have a story about your voice? Is there something that you think about every time you think about your voice? I have one. So when I was first starting out in the consulting world, I had a great job. I loved the company I was working for, and I was learning a lot, learning about all of the things I needed to, in my opinion, succeed. And then one day my boss called me into his office and he said to me, the men you work with don't like your voice. They say it's too deep. It irritates them. And I just kind of smiled and I let him continue. And he said one other thing. When you walk in the room, it's like you own the place, and that's a little bothersome as well. And so I looked at him and I smiled and I said, that sounds like a personal problem to me, because my voice, I can't change that. And I'm not going to try to make my voice lighter to appease the men in the room. They need to work on what's going on with them. And as far as me walking into the room and acting like I own the place, well, that's intentional, because I've worked really hard at being confident. I've worked really hard at exuding confidence when I walk in a space. So I'm not going to change that either. So it wasn't for long before I knew that I was going to have to, kind of start to make my transition out of that company, because not only was I irritating the men that I was working for, it seemed like my voice was getting just a little bit too strong for them. And I needed to be somewhere where people were more confident in themselves. I'm going to talk to you today about 2 key tips to hone in on your voice, find your voice, or even just perfect it and thrive in it. The first tip is set your boundaries. Now, Robert Frost has a really good quote that I love, and it says, good fences make good neighbors. That makes me think about my house, because my house is my personal space. Oh my gosh, I love being at home. I love the quiet sometimes, and I also love the noise, but it's my space. It's my quiet. I love the peace of mind that I have here. And so I pick and choose who comes into this space. There are family members that haven't ever been to my house. Not because I'm being mean or because I'm just trying to be selfish, but because I choose me. And I just want to be able to come into my house and not feel a lot of chaos. So that's my boundary. So when you think about boundaries, think about your house, but also think about you as your house. You are home. Who's trying to invade your home? Who's trying to interrupt your peace of mind? Who's trying to change your voice? So boundaries, they do a lot of things. And the first thing boundaries do is they help you to identify who you are. Me, I'm a strong person, but I also like my space and I like quiet time. And so for me, that's why I use the example of my home as with boundaries. So I don't like that. I tend to cut people off when they get a little bit too close or when they start to really invade my space. Boundaries also help you to protect yourself from violators. And I'm not talking about people who are just walking in the door or trying to break into your home. When I say violators, I mean people who are trying to invade you, who are trying to change who you are, who are trying to change your voice. In that story I told you a few minutes ago, he was trying to change me. He was trying to take my voice away. He was trying to change my voice to make it sound like something that he wanted. That's a violator. So think about that. Who tries to change you? Who tries to tell you what you need to do, what you need to look like, who you need to talk to, how you need to sound when you do talk? Those are violators. And those are people that boundaries are set up to protect. And boundaries also protect you from the control of others. The same is in that situation. He's trying to control how I move and maneuver in my career. There are people who are always trying to do it, and sometimes they don't know they're doing it. So you can't fault them, but what you can do is fault yourself if you do not let them know that they've crossed a boundary. So the first tip is ensure that you set proper boundaries and make sure that you enforce those boundaries so people know that they're your boundaries. How are they supposed to know that you don't like crazy around you if you don't tell them you don't like crazy? So it's okay to vocalize your boundaries. It's okay to say what you like and what you don't like, because if they're truly for you and they're truly a part of your friend circle, they're going to be okay with it. Now, speaking of friends, the second tip that I have for you is to identify your tribe. Now, when you think about that, you think about, oh, I got my tribe, I got my girls, I got my guys, whatever it is. Well, I'm not talking about a squad, so I'm not talking about those people who just go hang out with you when things are good. I'm talking about a tribe. Those are people that are with you regardless of the situation. Someone once said, life is all about finding people that are your kind of crazy. And let me tell you, I am a special kind of crazy. I've been married for 19 years, and my husband and I still don't understand it. We don't understand how we were able to just keep it going. And I told him, I said, because you have a special kind of crazy, and I have a special kind of crazy. Nobody can get in the middle of that. And so when we talk about our tribes, who do you think about? When I say, do you have a tribe? Does a face come to your mind or a name right away pop into your memory? Or do you have a memory of, hanging out with these certain group of people and going, yeah, those are my folks. That's my space. That's what I'm talking about. Those people that are unconditional lovers of you. Because when we're talking about your voice, those are the people that help you define your voice, but they also protect your voice. I was speaking to someone once before and was talking about your tribe. And I said, your tribe is an extension of you and in a way, extension of your voice. So ask yourself, are the people that you're hanging around with right now saying the right things you want them to say when you are not in the room? And I'm not talking about them coming in and telling people who you are and what you do. I'm talking about when people see them, what do they think of? And what do they think of you because you were with those people? That's what I'm talking about. You want to ensure that the people around you are people who are always going to exude confidence, number one, because that's what you exude, right? And two, are always going to be someone that's in a positive, to be seen in a positive light. So ways to identify your tribe. You may be saying, Shantera, how do I know? I got a lot of people around me. I'm not talking about those people who are your Facebook friends and your Instagram connections. If you don't know them personally, those people automatically off the table. They're not a squad. They're not a tribe. They're just people. That's just social media. But when we talk about a tribe, I'm talking about those people that show up. So how many of you have a business? How many of you have a product? How many of you have just thrown a nice birthday party and that same old friend of yours is still on her way and your event's been over for 2 years? Never showed up. Girl, I had something else to do. Or, I got caught up or my car broke down. Your car broke down every time you had an event. So a tribe member, you never even have to worry about if they're going to show up. Why? Because they have their ticket in hand and they are the first ones at the door. And by the way, they bought their ticket. They didn't ask you for a free one. Then they allow you to talk about you. So think about this. When was the last time you had a really bad day and you needed somebody to talk to? You picked up the phone and you were about to call your best friend, your best guy friend, your best girlfriend, whatever the case may be. And when you start to talk, you say, "Oh my God, I had the worst day." And before you can even finish your sentence, they cut you off and start talking about themselves. And before you know it, you've been on the phone for an hour listening to them talk about their drama. Well, that's not really a tribe member either, because that's a little selfish, right? You called them, you needed to talk, you needed to vent, you needed to chat, and they were not there for you. They just turned it into a situation for them. A tribe member lets you talk about you and don't have any issues just sitting and listening, because sometimes that's all we need, right? Is an ear to listen. Tribe members are also not judgmental. And I know that can be hard at times, but they're truthful to you too. They're not going to let you go out looking all crazy, but they're also not going to talk about you behind your back. And one of the most important things about a tribe member, someone in your tribe, is they are not in competition with you. I don't know how many times I've been hanging out with my friends, and every time I went to say that something great was happening in my life, all of a sudden they had something happening just like that. Or, girl, that ain't gonna work out, because I remember 2 years ago when I tried it. They were putting their insecurities, they were putting all of their stuff on me. And it was like I was competing with them, because now they're trying to compare themselves to me, and I felt uncomfortable. Do you feel that way sometimes? Well, now you know that you can put them in the squad category or even associates, depending on what you want to call them. But what I'm talking about are tribe members, those people tried and true that you can definitely count on whenever something's going wrong, but also when things are going right. They feed off your energy, they want your energy, and they are not afraid to tell other people about you and how great you are. Those are the people that help your voice to flourish, because they keep your voice going. Now, you may be saying, this sounds like a lot. This is a lot of stuff going on. I haven't really thought about this way. My friends are just my friends. I like hanging out. Good. I understand. No problem. But if you are thinking, well, maybe I can use a little bit of, change. I can use something that some inventory when I start to think about my friendships. I can start to evaluate them just a little bit more because something's off. Then I have something for you. It's a growth plan. And I'm going to just tell you about it. It's really quick. It's really, really easy. So if you have a pen or a piece of paper near you, write the letters GROW on your page. G stands for goals. R stands for reality. O is for options. And W is for willing. So now we're going to talk about them. G, for your goals. Ask yourself, what is your goal here? Do you like your voice? And you want to love your voice? Do you not like what you're hearing at all? Do you feel like you need to make some changes? Or, you just need to change everything about how you represent yourself? Write those things down. Put some goals in place. Next, what is the reality of your situation? When you're talking in your meetings, are people always talking over you, which means your voice is maybe a little too small? Or are people always telling you to calm down, calm down? You may be a little too out there, too big, too loud. And in that case, are you in the wrong crowd? Write down what the reality of the situation is so you can know if you've made progress. Oh, what are your options? So I always think there are at least two options in every situation. You can either do something about it or you don't. There's a lot of gray in between there. So think about that when you start to think about your options. And then W is for willing. What is it that you are willing to do about it? How are you going to change that reality in order to reach your goal? All of the things that I've said today and all of the things you've written down in your growth plan mean nothing if you are not willing to make the change. Now, I know it's hard, especially when you start to talk about your friendships and your tribe and how to make those changes. Even family members, it's hard to distance yourself from. So take baby steps. I'm not saying do all of this tomorrow. I'm saying put a plan in place to start to put you first and to ensure that your voice is heard in a way that you want it to be heard. I mean, we as women, we need to be on the big stage. We want people to hear us when we're up there, right? So there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first and saying, I'm going to do what I want to do and how I want to do it, because that's what PowHer is in the first place. Now I'm going to end with a quote by the late, great Coco Chanel. She says a girl should be two things, who and what she wants. And what I want is for you to be able to thrive. What I want is for you to grow in your voice, love what you hear when you hear your voice, and smile and be confident. Thank you so much for listening to me and hearing what I had to say about finding and owning your voice. Again, I'm Shantera Chapman, and I would love to hear from you. On my website, shanterachapman.com, you can go there and sign up to be a part of my mailing list. And when you do, you'll get a free copy of my book, Empowering You, 12 Tips for Finding Your Voice. So once again, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.